Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. We are live on Facebook and also YouTube Live. This is episode 157. I'm Steve Crane. I'm joined with Nate Hale here at the far end in the bright, beautiful blue BS hoodie.
Nicaragua colors.
Well, and I got Dustin Bowie behind the producer mic, and we have a special guest tonight, Brian Penn.
Yay. What's happening?
Brian has been in the garage before as an audience member, and this is his first time on the podcast. I'm really excited to have him on. We talked about this actually after a podcast not too long ago.
Absolutely,
you on.
About a month and some change ago.
Yeah. So it's not been that long. Tonight, I want to thank our sponsors. Throw them up on the screen here. We've got Tinder Box at Easton. They are by way of Alec and Bradley, or Alec Bradley cigars, both really. We have the featured cigar tonight, the Kintsugi. You guys probably can't see it, but we posted the picture on social media before the podcast. And then also I want to thank, I already got it cut. Way ahead of you. Altadis USA, we have some Monte Cristo White series available for the second part of the episode tonight. And also BS Cigar Company, I got a couple golds. I was smoking a silver before, and those are available as well. And then also I want to thank patreon.com/Bourbon and BS podcast. You guys are awesome. You guys make this really help do this for us every month or every week, excuse me. Just helps keep it going. It's fantastic. Your support has been amazing. And there are 3 different tiers you guys can do. It's $5, $10, or $25, or whatever you guys want to punch in there. We really appreciate all the support. And obviously also like, share, review. We don't ask for anything. We love the Patreon stuff from you guys, but really it's just sharing it and getting it out there. Both for the cigars and the whiskey review. We're going to be drinking the Old Forester 1910, which is one of my favorites from Old Forester.
Right on.
We're going to be sipping on that and reviewing that. And then the second part, if you guys haven't listened to us before, part 2, about an hour into it, we get into a life topic, which is also tonight, Kintsugi.
It's dope.
You don't even know what it is yet.
What is it called? Kintsugi squared?
You did? Yeah, Kintsugi squared.
I hit the Google up today. You know what I'm saying? You gave me the topic.
And what did you find on Google for Kintsugi?
I saw a bunch of shit about pottery, player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Pottery. So you want to crack the bottle there, Nate?
Absolutely.
And I will get
Wednesday,
into
man.
Happy Whiskey Wednesday for sure. Need to get some whiskey for this Whiskey Wednesday.
Where's the...
Got that?
Is it childproof? That could be a problem.
No, I'm looking
Take
for
your
the
time.
perforation.
We'll be here.
Could be a problem. Brian, just before we get into part 2, just a quick introduction. What are you getting into right now? You got the Clean Kicks shirt on, which is awesome.
First of all, I'm just happy to be here.
I'm happy you're here.
I'm so stoked to be here. But yeah, man, I own a sneaker company called Clean Kicks. It's like dry cleaning for sneakers, which is my jam. Started that last summer. Big into faith, making music, kicking it with friends. Been locked away in the house like everybody else the last year. So it's nice to get out and have a cocktail with my homies. And we'll talk some more shit as we get into it later, you know?
Yes, we will.
Right?
It's kind of what we do here. That's the BS part of the Bourbon and BS podcast.
That's the one thing I'm good at. I'm not good at the cigar part, but one thing
Is
your
that
boy
right?
can do is BS.
BS. All right. Nate, if you want to give us a little bit of rundown, I'm going to share the podcast on Facebook. I would encourage everyone to do the same if you haven't already. But tell us a little about Old Forester 1910 of what you got here.
So 1910 was the year that there was a fire on the bottling line at Old Forester.
Mm-hmm.
So mature whiskey getting ready to go into the bottles, and the fire halted that process. So they had to do something though with the whiskey until they could fix the bottling process and all that. So they put it into new barrels again. So it had already been aged, was ready to go to bottle. They put it in brand new charred barrels once again.
Wow.
And then once they had production, or once they had the line fixed, then they finally bottled it and noticed that it had a different taste to it because of that double aging in the barrels. And at the time, that was actually the first recorded instance of a double barreling happening.
1910
was 1910 when they did that.
Okay.
And there are other companies that do it. And, there's a lot of companies that finish in a second barrel. This is coming out of Brown-Forman. So one of their other products that does that is the Woodford double oaked.
Yeah.
So that's another that's going through 2 aging processes before it's actually bottled. So what it is it's regular Old Forester at 100 proof when it goes into the second barrel.
So it's a regular Old Forester
Right on.
before it goes in.
Yeah. So
When it goes
Okay.
into the second barrel.
yeah.
Like
So
after it's aged and it goes into the second one, it's regular Old Forester 100 proof.
yes, when it goes into that second barrel, and that second barrel is lightly toasted but heavily charred, and the master taster at Old Forester said it's almost charred to the point where it's incinerated. Like there's not a whole lot left, and that's what they do to finish it off and give it unique characteristics to the flavor. Because toasting and charring are going to add different flavors to a whiskey. So,
Okay.
So toasting is where they just slowly, gradually toast the inside of the barrel to get it that darker color. And then char is where they just blast it with the fire.
Right.
And so like you're going to get more. So the toasting process will get rid of some of the tannins, but it release some of the villanin
Look at you. Girl.
in the wood.
Mhm.
And that's what gives it vanilla flavor a lot of times. And then
Does.
does it?
Yeah.
I haven't sipped it yet.
Does.
But then char, the reason why bourbon uses charred barrels is that char acts like a charcoal filter. And so it actually filters out a lot of the sulfur and smooths out the whiskey. So you have a charred barrel that it's aged in, and then that second barrel is toasted and then charred.
Wow. Okay.
He's killing it right now.
Yeah, he is.
Killing it.
Someone did a book report.
Yep.
For
72%.
For sure.
72% corn, 18%
ambassador or something.
No.
You know, you're killing it.
72% corn, 18% rye, 12% or 10% malted barley.
Nice. Wow. Wow.
It's
Okay.
amazing what you can learn in 30 minutes.
So take a sip of it now that you just rattled off all of that.
I mean, it was nice. That was a nice report.
That was a good
That
report.
was well played.
More visuals would have been nice, but it's all right.
PowerPoint.
A little PowerPoint.
PowerPoint for
sorry.
sure.
I didn't have time to.
You didn't have time to prepare. I'm sorry.
I can't lie, for a man who doesn't drink whiskey like by itself very often, that shit's tasty, bro.
Yeah.
For
You were
sure.
drinking what the other week you were here?
I had an assortment of things. I
You
had
like
some
Yeah,
robbed an
Bullet.
Brown.
airplane, it
I
looked
had
like.
some Bullet.
Or
I had that
hotel
Diet
bar.
Ginger Ale. I think there was a Crown Vanilla and a Crown in there.
Mm.
You know, I keep
Bobby
it,
Hirschman listening. He
I
might
keep,
like
I
that.
keep it frisky. You're welcome, Bobby Hirschman. I keep it frisky.
Yeah, yeah. So Brian, you said you don't drink much bourbon.
Not by itself, man.
Yeah.
No, that's
So,
really.
What do you think?
That's really good. The back finish is good. It sits
Mhm.
there. It sits on my tongue for a minute. Like, I'm genuinely impressed with it. I would sip that. I'm gonna sip that while I'm here for the next 2 hours. It's gonna be a hell of
That's
a night.
part of the plan, right?
Don't judge your boy, people out there watching
That's
and
part of
friends
the
who know me
plan.
and love me.
Part
Don't
two
judge
should Be
me.
interesting, right?
Here's a.
What do you think, Nate?
No, it's absolutely fantastic. It's got a very thick mouthfeel to it. So it like up front, it's got that vanilla flavor, but on the back end, there's a lot of caramel, and so it does help kind of smooth over some of that burn that you might get in your palate.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't
Uh,
get much burn at all.
Yes. So I had
get
said
a little. I get a little, but that's
Yeah.
probably because my palate. You know what I mean?
So I had said when it goes into that second barrel, it's at 100 proof. When they bottle it at 93.
Oh, word.
So this is 93.
So it's
proof.
93 proof, but
Okay.
it's basically just the 100 proof Old Forester that you can buy just about anywhere, just aged a second time in a new barrel.
So what does that break down to? Like 46.5%? Is that
Yes.
Mhm.
right? Is that right?
It's quick math.
Was that well? That was not bad.
It's really good, actually. That's good. Sharp. Yeah. So I
Early,
think it's
early.
this is one of my favorites. Like I said, I love the Old Forester. What do they call this series? Does anyone recall that name?
Whiskey Row.
Whiskey Row.
This was the fourth and final of the Whiskey Row series. You have the 1870, which commemorates when Old Forester began
Mhm.
distilling.
Mhm.
Then you have the 1897 Bottled in Bond, because 1897 is when the Bottled in Bond Act was passed.
On Germany?
Bottled in Bond. So a
Like
bonded,
you said bond, like BONN. My bad.
no, B-O-N-D.
BOND.
Right?
Bottled in
A
Bond.
bonded whiskey.
Word.
So that means it has to be in a single distillation season, government storage facility,
Got you.
4 years and 100 proof.
Snarf,
Minimum
snarf.
4 years. It can be
Snarf,
longer,
snarf.
but it has to be
Mhm.
at least 100 proof.
Got you.
Then they did, before they did the 1910, they did the 1920,
Yep.
which is the prohibition style.
Yeah.
because Old Forester was one of 6 distilleries that was allowed to sell whiskey as medicinal during Prohibition.
Word.
And then they came out with the 1910.
Shouts to everything medicinal. You know what I'm saying? That's all I want to say. Just shouts to everything medicinal. Big fan.
It's still medicinal. We just don't call it that way.
I agree.
Much like what you were puffing on before.
Absolutely. I'm very medicinal.
Always got a little medicine with you. That's good. I like that. It's not frowned upon anymore, I don't think.
Nope.
Legally. Yeah. So yeah, I like this bottle.
Yeah. And it's weird for a while there, especially last year, or over the last, I'd say 2 or 3 years, Old Forester 1910, this one specifically, of the 4, always seemed to be the hardest one to find. Like you could
Yes.
find all the other ones on
Yes.
the shelf. This was one that here in Ohio, like the stores might hold at the counter or behind the counter. It's starting to be regularly on the shelves a little bit more. Like
Yeah.
I haven't had to go to wait on a store to get their delivery in order to pick it up lately. It's been a lot easier to find.
What's the price point on something like that? Just out of curiosity.
You not being the whiskey guy, what would you use?
Boogie 1910. I don't know. $100.
In the state of Ohio, that is $54.95 or
Yeah.
$54.99.
That's fair.
And the great thing about the Whiskey Row series is there's only in the state of Ohio, I think a $10 price gap between all 4.
Yeah, they're not the cheapest bottles out on the
No,
market,
but
right,
they're-
especially compared to regular Old Forester, which is like 20.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was $100 though.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know.
Yeah.
I guess it's perspective.
That's true.
Yeah, the regular Old Forester is like $18.99 in the state of
Right,
Ohio.
right.
But then the 4 of the Whiskey Row series in
So
Ohio, I
79?
think they run from 45 to 55.
So like 1879 is probably one of is.
I think the 1870 is the one that's right there
79.
around 45.
Right on.
Yeah.
And then the others, I think.
So if I'm not mistaken, you got the 1897 or 1870 is 90 proof,
I believe so. I'd have to double
and
check.
then the 1897 is going to be the 100 because it's the bottle and bond.
Yep.
And then it's what is it? The 110. Are you looking this up, Dustin?
The 1920.
1920 was another bump up. It was
Yeah.
like 110.
And this is coming in at 90.
Yeah.
So 90 proof on the
1897.
1870.
1870.
100 proof on the 1897, obviously.
Bond.
Bottled and bond.
Yeah.
And then the
walking in
1920
circles
is
It's my first drink.
It's early, bro. Early.
no, not the 18. Not the price. The
What's the 1920? The
proof.
prohibition.
It's $60, 115.
115.
115.
That's right. And that's
Wow.
when we had Dino Tripodis on the first time. I had brought the 1897 bottle and bond,
and he brought the 1920.
and he brought the 1920, and we had both bottles on the
57.5.
table. And I will say this is that all 3 of us, that was when Jake was still a part of it. Jake Sanders
Yeah.
was still a part of it. And we all had a little bit of the 1920, all thought it was very good. But for the rest of the show, for the most part, everyone kept grabbing for the 1897
Oh, okay.
because it was good and it was a little easier to drink.
yeah.
Less harsh or less.
Yeah, I mean,
smoky
at
or less-
100,
yeah.
and, what was it, 115 proof? I mean, that's getting up there. But I mean, the other one being 100, it was just easier to drink.
Yeah. for
Yeah,
sure.
while we're having a conversation, it was easier to drink.
For
This one
sure.
being 93 is also, I think, fairly easy to drink.
So what do you do with something that's 115 proof? I mean, you just put that in the glass and just sip that for like an hour. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, 30 minutes. I mean,
Keep topping it off.
depends on how big your glass is
no,
and how thirsty you are.
no square cube or nothing. Just straight up for your
So
legitimate,
so
whiskey
any
heads.
99% of the time, if I'm drinking a whiskey, I'm drinking it neat. There are some times where I may add a splash of water to something that I've already had.
Oh, word up. Word up,
Like
word
just
up,
a
word up.
few drops
Yep,
just
yep.
to see if it actually opens it up.
Yep.
I wouldn't do that with this one because at 93 proof, if you're adding a couple drops of water, it's going to proof it down, I think, too much.
All
Yeah.
right.
And you're going to lose a lot of the flavors that you get out of this.
So never an orange peel, never a cherry, never.
whatever
You know
you
what I
I've
mean? Like,
ordered cocktails before.
Yeah.
But typically, if I'm at home drinking whiskey, I'm just straight neat.
Snarf.
I know there was one recently I tried that, it's an okay bottle. It's only $22 in the state of Ohio. And Steve's like, yeah, I drank that. I put an ice cube in mine and it tasted better. I put an ice cube in it and I hated it. I liked it better neat than with an ice cube.
I did go back and try that. We're going to do that on the podcast.
Yeah.
So, Old Tub from Jim Beam. I did go back and have it again. So I don't know if it's just what I ate that day or whatever, but I did like it a little bit more the second time I had it neat. But it's very good. I mean, it's been highly rated and it's a great Jim Beam product, especially for the price point. It's just, I think it depends sometimes on what you eating, what are you smoking, temperature, all that stuff. You know what I mean?
It's got asparagus before you drink. You know what I mean?
Salmon. Yeah, wish I did.
Yeah, that bottle's got a finish on it, so that'll
mess with that palate for real. Yeah.
But you guys, I mean, cheers.
Absolutely.
I feel like everyone seems to like this one. And it's good, I think, so here in Columbus, Ohio, we have a little bit warmer weather. We had a heat wave today, about over 50 degrees. 57.
I went for a run outside today.
Did you?
I did indeed.
I did my old man walk this morning.
Me too.
What the hell does that look like?
Looks like me bundled up with a cigar and a Bose speaker in my pocket, listening to music.
Are you speed walking? Or are you just out there like?
It's not that brisk. It's not slow.
Right.
I just wish this would stay down.
It's an old man walk. No, I did about 2 miles today. Let's see what I got.
So interestingly, I'm like a pretty fast runner and like a pretty good jogger, whatever the case may be. But I'm a very slow walker. Because I tell people, like, why are you walking so slow? Like, because if I'm walking, I'm clearly not trying to get there quickly, or I wouldn't be walking. You know what I mean?
Today was a brisk pace. I was about 17-minute mile on average.
I'm usually like,
look at you go.
Yeah, a little brisk.
I'm usually like a speed walker.
Are you?
Yeah. Well, especially when I'm doing it every day. Like when I'm walking to work, I just want to get to work as fast as I can. So
right.
You got the ass twitch like the old ladies in the mall?
No.
You got, are you in there pumping the fists and shit? You know what I mean? Are you in there?
No, not that. No.
Are you in there getting them? You got a little bounce and a little jiggle.
Let me rephrase it. I walk fast. I'm not a speed walker.
No, you said speed walker.
He definitely said speed walker.
So today I did 40 minutes. I did 2.4 miles. So I mean, with a cigar, took a couple pictures and all that stuff, and that was after my strength training before that.
That's what's up, bro.
Yeah, my mornings lately have been great. I mean, it's like I go to the gym, I did shoulders today, come home, change real quick, light up a cigar, go for a walk.
Do you still love the gym the same? I still dig it. I'm freaking 41 years old, but it's still like my shit.
I need to go to the gym.
Absolutely.
And so I was talking to someone actually.
Shouts to Avenue X Fitness. I love you, Deb.
Avenue X Fitness.
Yeah, man. I'm a personal trainer there. My girl Deb owns it. Boss. Love you, Deb. Shouts for sure.
We'll get into that too.
Absolutely.
Man of many talents. No, I do. I like the gym. I did during the lockdown, I did the basement workout with 2 40-pound dumbbells. And then Sean, who's here in the garage, donated to the house. I asked if he wanted them back. He said no, I think. But no, I mean, it was good for like the first week or so, like kind of switching it up. I never do bands, so it was nice to do that. But after the month went by,
so
the gyms hadn't opened up. I'm just like, this is not enough.
So when our gym shut down, I don't know, we're not talking about that right now. When our gym shut down, we were like, we were doing videos and like posting them on our social media.
Yeah.
That shit worked for like 47 seconds before they were like, nah, bruh. Like we want to work out with you, fool. This is not cutting it. Like we feel you. But we tried.
Going in my basement in that room, it was fine at first.
Yeah, man.
And like I could do, because I'm the more traditional strength training guy, right? It's like the old like Arnold book, right?
Absolutely.
So I have like chest day, and then
absolutely
I have, back day, I have bis and tris day, I have shoulders day, I have leg day, I have back day. So I do all that. Doing it downstairs, it was kind of like, all right, I can do the bands for some flies, and I can do some 40-pound dumbbells on the ground and all that stuff. It just wasn't the same.
How you gonna dumbbell chest fly? How you gonna, you know what I mean? It just started to become difficult for sure. But anyway.
And at that time, I wasn't going outside and walking either. So absolutely. I mean, it's like what wish I knew then what I know now type thing. I would have been out doing this and I would have felt a lot better. So we all figure things out. Let's move on to the cigar here.
Kintsugi.
Gotta light yours up, man. So this is what, Brian?
This is my first time ever smoking a cigar.
All right, so
I'm a little geeked. I am. I'm all giddy and shit.
You guys are watching a virgin online.
TV timeout. TV timeout.
No, I said it. I said what I said.
I'm grown. You know what I'm saying? Don't get it
It's
confused.
fine. You know, everyone. You know, I remember my first time. It was
Hey,
good.
hey.
It was a little different.
Hey,
A little different. I was a little awkward.
It's how you learn. You know what I mean? It's how you learn. You know what I'm saying?
It's
how you learn. It's how you learn. It's how you.
I just. All right. So the keys is you don't inhale. Yeah, that's gonna be tough for you.
It's a weird thing from a 420 specialist. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't inhale. It's Bill Clinton style. It's Bill Clinton style.
It's like a straw. Think about it like that, like a straw. So when you're drinking a drink with a straw, you're not inhaling. You're sucking on it.
Snarf.
And you bring it into the mouth, onto the palate, and then you can picture it like you're spitting out like the Coke or something like that. You know, the soda.
So it's for the taste, basically.
It's for the taste.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Cigars are about the flavor. There's no taste buds in your lungs.
All right.
So
you're saying you never inhale? Like you never
you can't. I mean, I'll toast it for you. I'll give you the full.
Let's get it in. So no, you really let me see you hit that real quick. Let me see your swag.
Nate, do you have swag?
He's got swag. Don't hate.
I'm not hating. I'm asking questions.
And then I retrohale out of my nose.
And explain retrohaling.
So retrohale is where you take the smoke
and blow it out
you
your
take
nose.
part of it, go back. Yeah.
But you don't inhale.
Yep.
I'll leave that for the next show.
What you mean, bro? You think I guarantee I have that shit figured out by the time I'm out of here?
That's good.
You're
You're a fast learner. I like that.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Smoke dog, baby. Been smoking since I was 2.
We got a couple people in the garage that can't retrohale. So yeah, that'd be
retro hell. All right.
Yep.
I'm probably gonna inhale some in order to try it.
Because like we've
that's
had,
fine. That's
you know
fine.
what I mean? It's how you learn.
Yeah, we've had some cigars
So
on.
I gotta ride
recently.
home.
We've had some recently, like when Miguel was on, we smoked the Mil Diaz. There was no spice on the palate. You retrohaled that one, and you got a lot of spice on through your nose. And then like a week or two later, we had another cigar, spice on the palate, retrohaled it, and then there was no spice on the retrohale through the nose. So a lot of times, retrohaling it'll give you an idea as to the strength of a cigar, but it also allows you to pick up other flavors that you might not necessarily get on your palate.
So I want to give a quick shout out to Alec Bradley Cigars. Jonathan Lipson, who's the director of sales and marketing, he actually sent these cigars to the podcast. He sent us a pack of the Alec and Bradley Kintsugi. This is a Honduran wrapper. It's exclusive to their farm in Trojes. We've talked about that when we talked about the Prensado on the podcast in the past. Mm-hmm. There's a double binder. It's Nicaraguan binder as well as a Honduran binder, and then Nicaraguan and Honduran fillers. This one comes in, and this is a little sheet that he sent me. It was a nice letter that he sent.
Well done.
And so it's presented in a 24-count box, gold-filled in crack pattern, mimicking the ancient Japanese art of Kintsugi, which is what you looked into, Brian. The bands and inside box labels kind of take the same styles. If you look at the band, and you're all about the marketing, I believe, right? Like,
I am indeed.
Yeah.
Branding is crucial.
So you see that they've got the nice, is that a blue color, and you got the gold that would kind of look like that. And you have that bottom band here. If you look at this, it has kind of what they were talking about in the pottery that you're talking about. That
Word.
You looked up,
yeah.
That it's filling in the cracks, right?
Yeah.
So the bands and then traditional Japanese themes and artwork. This is coming out of the Raíces Cubanas factory, which is a factory in Honduras. I believe that was 1941 is when they started, if I'm not mistaken. And it's available in the following sizes: Corona Gorda, the Robusto, a Toro, and a Gordo. This is going to be ranging MSRP, not including tobacco tax per state, $725 to $985. And then they say "Live True," which is one of their slogans. So this is coming out of, I believe so they blended with Ernesto on this one too. I think.
Kudos to him for sending that, man.
No, it's amazing. So we thank you guys for sending that. Absolutely. I said Ryan Pontus, who's our Alec Bradley rep. Mm-hmm. This is something that he's been a part of the podcast before, and love having him on, but we didn't have him on tonight. This is something that Alec and Bradley. So Alec Bradley Cigars is started by Alan Rubin, who's also been on the podcast before. And Alec and Bradley are Alan's sons. And so this is now one of their efforts. They've had the Blind Faith, which was their first one. They had the Gatekeeper, and now the Kintsugi. I believe this is the third, if I'm not mistaken. It's third or fourth. Yeah. But this is one
Magic
of the new
Toast wasn't them, was it?
It was not. It was not. So we're hearing Joseph says the video keeps freezing and pausing and picks back up. Hopefully we continue on with that. If you guys have any audio or video issues, let us know, and we'll try to get it all reset for you. This platform we're using is usually pretty good, but you can never tell. This cigar. So what you were talking about, the Kintsugi thing, that is a Japanese form of repairing pottery, typically.
Okay.
And this is why, and I'll kind of get into it a little bit now, but then kind of keep this in mind as we get into part 2. And everyone out there, if you have any questions for us or for Brian, but Kintsugi is, they use like that gold filler.
I saw that. To
repair a broken pottery piece. And the idea behind it is that you show the imperfections, you show the life of this piece, right? You don't try to hide it. So that's why it's a art form / repair, where you have a broken piece of pottery, a bowl, for example, and if that breaks, you don't try to repair it and try to hide the seams. You're actually trying to decorate and show off the imperfections and the history of that piece.
That's dope. Mm-hmm.
So there's the metaphor that you kind of go into for life as well. And we'll get into that a little bit more in part 2. That's why the cigar is Kintsugi. And then you have what's that?
See what you're doing there.
Yeah, you see that, too. Pretty obvious. And then for part 2, the life topic is also Kintsugi, which is going to be based on the life metaphor. So what do you guys think of the cigar?
Go ahead, Nate.
No, I think it's a really enjoyable medium bodied cigar with the with that wrapper, and then also the other Honduran tobacco. I get a nice subtle sweetness out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Not overly sweet, but it's definitely there. It's got a nice creamy, earthy note to it.
Your adjective game is crazy bananas, bro. His homie's adjective game is fire for sure, yo.
That's right.
Good to know that college education came in handy for something.
Well,
what did you study?
Biology.
Yeah, that's not where it came from.
It's not synonymous, but
no, I used to tell people when I was a rep that I used my biology education more selling cigars than I did in the 8 years of toxicology research that I did.
It makes me worried about your last job. Go on.
Thanks.
No judge.
No, what I also like, if you notice on the band, so there's 2 bands,
yeah,
Brian. And so if you look, that second band looks like it says Alec and Bradley. But if you take the bands off, that second band actually has a gap. Actually has a hole in the band.
Oh, look at them.
The ampersand is actually on the primary band.
Look at them.
So the 2 bands have to go together in order for you to actually see the name of the manufacturer in its entirety.
And why is that?
That's going with that whole Kintsugi
there
theme.
You go.
It's using branding. The 2 pieces together.
That's game changing. That's game changing
yeah.
branding right there. That is
take like a
dope,
like,
yo.
Was it Noapic or whatever? Like, the brain pills. Did you take one of those?
What?
Do I take one of those?
No, I think
what's
it's
that
great
Bradley Cooper movie? What's the movie where he takes the pill and it's like Limitless?
Limitless.
Yeah.
That's Nate tonight.
That's Nate right
He's
now.
using about 11% of his brain so far instead of the typical 10. I love it. I love the marketing behind it. I do.
Yeah, man,
the only thing I don't like is on this size, which is a Robusto, is that you have to take the band off so early because it is a large, long band.
Touche.
So I love the image behind it, the what they're trying to portray. I love the idea there. But yeah, I agree with you, Nate. The cigar is, you've got a little creaminess on the palate, but as soon as I kind of go through the retrohale, I get a little bit of that little pepper, a little spice.
That's kind of that Nicaraguan tobacco coming out.
Probably. And for you, Brian, your first cigar.
I'm just so excited to be here.
Best cigar, right?
I think everything is just dope. I'm just overwhelmed with excitement. You know what I mean? I'm just stoked with excitement. So I assume it's like, I'm not mad at it. I'm having a great time with it. You know what I mean?
It's good.
I'm doing my best to not inhale. You know what I mean? That's the one thing I'm focused on right now is making sure I don't inhale.
You might cough.
If I were to inhale,
if you inhale, you might.
I presume that I probably would. So
because you got to remember, it's 100% tobacco. There's no additives.
This is not 420.
There's no filters.
It's
it's just straight pure tobacco. So.
Well said.
Give it a shot. Go ahead, Juan.
No.
Yeah, you can. If you gotta get sick, there's a trash can there and a bin there.
So funny story. When I was in college,
yes.
I went to school in Wisconsin, and again, I've really never really messed with tobacco much. And my friends got me to try like a dip or a chew or whatever the case may be. Exactly.
Yeah, you swallowed that. Didn't you?
I did not swallow it. I put it in the thingamajig. I was dizzy and threw up. Like it was worse than the worst hangover I've ever had. I was like, I would never do this shit again. That's for sure. But this is dope. I'm having a good time.
Yeah, when I first smoked this cigar, I'll be honest, I was not the biggest fan of the flavor profile. I did smoke one this morning on my old man walk.
A Kintsugi?
Yep, that's right.
Right on.
Yeah, and I liked it a lot. And now smoking it tonight, especially with this Old Forester 1910, it's a nice cigar.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice cigar.
Right on.
It's complex. I like that. I like the fact that, if you want to go off of that whole play off of the Kintsugi with doing not only drawing it in and just, blowing it out like you may be doing, Brian, but also with that retrohale, it does piece together very well.
Yeah.
And the retrohale really complements the flavor on the palate.
Yeah.
Retrohale?
That's what he was talking about, where you blow it through the nose.
Yeah.
Instead of inhaling it.
So should I take this off now, or can I let it ride a little bit longer? A little bit longer? Yeah. All right.
Just you want to take it off before
it starts burning the paper.
Exactly.
I did have someone ask me, actually, a friend of mine asked me.
It'll taste funny.
Yeah, he sent me. He's like, I read that cigar purists just smoke through the band.
No,
and I thought that he was smoking like a leaf by Oscar that has something that is burnable.
And that's what I said a few weeks ago when we had the leaf.
Yeah, but the thing was, he showed me it was a La Roma de Cuba with a normal paper band. I said, no, that's just paper and ink.
Yeah, you don't want to
ever smoke paper and ink.
It's not gonna taste good. So Dustin's here, obviously behind the producer mic. He is also drinking and smoking what we are drinking and smoking. Give us a little bit of what you think there.
So for me, like the whiskey, it has that patented Old Forester flavor, like a lot of the other bottles have, especially in that Whiskey Row line. But it doesn't have any bit of harshness at all. Like that 1920 kind of really packs at that 115 proof.
Mm-hmm.
I get a lot of nice bit of like char from the barrel, that sweetness, a little bit of vanilla from it as well. But it really balances really, really good with the Kintsugi. The Kintsugi, I get some notes of kind of like a leather in it a little bit.
Okay,
that could be that creamy earthiness that I referred to.
Yeah. But it's just got such a, like you said, need a nice creaminess, velvetiness to it as well. Real nice thick smoke. It's just real smooth. Not too much spice at all to me, anyways. Just kind of sits in the back of my throat with it. Doesn't dry out my palate at all. At least it hasn't yet. But it really coats everything. It doesn't really sit just in the tip or on the sides. It's a nice coating across the whole thing.
I think that's one of the reasons. I think that's one of the reasons why this is a good whiskey for it. Because same thing with the whiskey, because of the viscosity of this and how oily it is and coats your palate. Like it just makes your palate receptive to all the flavors of the cigar.
Yeah, Dustin's saying off mic here is very dark color. Yeah,
it's a very dark caramel color on that bottle. And I think part of the reason for the color and then some of that char you talked about, Dustin, is that double barreling that they're doing with it. That's imparting a whole new set of flavors. I mean, because basically take this and pair it up to just Old Forester or Old Forester Hunter Proof.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter Proof would probably be the better one to go with, since that's what goes into the second barrel. So take Old Forester Hunter Proof, which is about a $21 bottle in the state of Ohio, and then compare it to the 1910 and see what you think. I mean, and you'll be able to see how that double barreling imparts a whole new level of flavor into the whiskey.
Nice.
Word.
We did have a comment here from Seth. He says, "Hey guys, new to the community, love the podcast. This is another reminder. If you guys are listening to this on the audio,
thanks, Seth.
Thank you, Seth. This is something that you guys can listen to live on Facebook or YouTube live every Wednesday around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we also have on Facebook the Bourbon and BS community page. And that's something where we kind of take what we talk about on here and then also everything else, that you guys just want. Now we're at over 1,400 members. So it's grown in the last year, which is fantastic. And it's just a good community. You guys can post your whiskey pictures, your cigar pictures, or really anything. I mean, I had one that someone asked questions why I did it.
Dope, bro. That's so dope.
It works
so dope
because now we're everywhere. But I posted something because I did a review for a friend's detailer. He's a car detailer.
Right on.
And he had sent me something. I was sitting at. He's also a bartender.
Is he here?
He's here in Columbus.
Word up.
So I had taken pictures back in the day and forgot to post them on anything. So I actually pulled them up, put them on my page, and then shared it to the community page. he had 2 people call him within 2 days.
Yeah.
And then another guy's like, well, why are you posting stuff about Columbus? You can do that. I don't want to go too far off the script there, but I mean, this is about supporting other people in the community.
Well,
So I don't have a problem if you post like clean kicks. If you're doing something, you can post on the community page.
Kudos.
You know,
man.
this is something that we're trying to obviously help other people, and everyone loves to do that. So Seth, welcome.
I think
Beautiful.
another
Beautiful.
absolutely fantastic example of that is just this week. So last week we had Cedar Creek Cigars
Right.
and featured their San Andreas, and then we also smoked their Connecticut, which when I was texting Josh afterwards, I apparently nailed that Connecticut because I said it reminds me of this, and he goes, yeah, it uses a lot of the same tobacco. Nice palate. But anyway, one of our regular listeners, Avi, was listening to that episode
Right.
and actually ordered a 5-pack of their San Andreas cigar that we reviewed. And he's like, yeah, Stephen, they liked it and gave it like 8.5 or 9s. What?
Dustin, you want to leave that light on? You're not. Yeah, there you go. Thanks, buddy. Welcome back to the garage. Just so everyone knows, Dustin left to use the bathroom, and then he thought he was leaving the bathroom in my hall. Did you pee in my hallway? That's the question. Did you use a toilet? Like, did you turn the light off in the bathroom
Oh,
too?
that wet spot.
Oh,
Jeez.
jeez Christ. So anyway,
I need a supervisor inside.
but no, so Avi had ordered the 5-pack of the San Andreas because we had reviewed them and then actually smoked them and told Josh exactly what he thought of them.
Yeah.
So again, last week we promoted another cigar maker, a little smaller than some of the ones we deal with.
Yeah.
But
Well, Avi just commented he just ordered a box too.
so Avi
Damn.
ordered a 5-pack based on our review, liked it so much on himself that he bought a box. Good
Word
for
up.
you, Avi.
Shouts to Avi. Word up, bro. Dustin, I'm a little bit too dark to be having it dark in here, man. You can't be doing that shit. cuz.
I know you
You know what I'm
disappeared.
saying? I did. Like you saw my glasses and the Clean Kicks logo. Like turn it. Like if you don't turn that shit back
That's a
on,
good
bro.
look though. You got,
You got me over here looking
clean
silhouette.
kicks. That's good.
We're silhouette.
Oh my gosh.
Come up. Come
Yeah,
on,
yeah,
player.
yeah.
Don't
Come
you
up.
sh-
Ian
I didn't
said
keep
also
just
that he ordered some as well. So haven't showed up yet, but he ordered some. That's good. Thank you, Ian. This is the time of the show that we're gonna do the whiskey, cigar, and the pairing. So we're gonna rate this. Brian, I don't know if you were here for this part of the podcast in the past, but this is where we give out of 10 being the best. Yeah, you're gonna rate the whiskey, and then you're gonna rate the cigar, and then you're gonna rate the pairing. So 3 different ratings out of 10. So rate the whiskey first out of 10.
Genuine 9.
9.
Genuine 9. I'm having a really good time with it. Like I said, I don't drink very many bourbons or whiskeys solo dolo without a splash of diet ginger ale or something, but I would drink that by itself. I don't want to say 10 because I'm sure there's probably things that I would enjoy better as my palate
fair.
increases and
That's
I
fair.
keep
Yeah.
testing things, but I think 9 is fair. As far as the cigar, again, virgin behind the mic on the cigar scheme, but I'd say 8.5, probably 8.5, just as it doesn't taste too smoky to me. The finish is fine. Yeah, I'd probably say 9 on 1, 8.5, which probably averages out to an 8.75.
There you go.
Right.
8.75 pairing.
There you go.
Do you think it complements each other?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Nate, how about you?
On the whiskey, I'm gonna be 9 to 9.5. It's such an absolutely fantastic bottle. It being more readily available kind of helps it a little bit now. I know $55 is a little high for what some people want to spend. Especially at 55, a lot of people might be looking at like a barrel proof, something that's going to be like that 110, 120, something a little bit stronger than what this is.
Okay.
But I think what's great about this being at 93 proof is just the complexity of the depth of flavor that you get out of it. I think it's worth 55 all day long.
Mm-hmm.
You were getting ready to ask me a question, Brian.
Yeah, I apologize, but how long? You said $55 may be a little bit too high of a price point, which I understand. But how long would a bottle like that last? A couple weeks, few weeks. I know it's
Again, depends on how much you're drinking.
Obviously,
I
but
mean,
you know what
I mean,
like,
we got some people in the garage drinking as well, so this bottle may not even last tonight.
it's probably not gonna make it.
I mean, if I was sitting at home, if I was having maybe 2 pours a night,
Is it a fortnight? Will it last a fortnight? Right? It's like a couple weeks, right? That 2 weeks, 3 weeks was a
I
fortnight.
think so.
2 weeks.
Come on,
3
no,
weeks?
Score.
this is one of those
Fortnight, a
bottles.
fortnight.
This is one of those bottles I think a lot of people bring out. They drink it
Special occasion,
occasionally.
Absolutely.
Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a special occasion, but they drink it occasionally because they don't want to sit there and kill it in a week.
Absolutely.
So they may crack it, have a pour or two, put it back on the shelf, and then go back.
I think anymore though, at $55, mid 50 range, you're not
Exactly.
too like it's not your 20 or 30, obviously. You know what I mean? That like could be a daily for a lot of people, if you will, or like a nightcap type of thing.
Yeah.
But this has enough depth, like you're saying, that it could be a nice nightcap that you could have this and it'd be gone in a month, easy.
There
Yeah.
you go.
If you're not switching up a whole lot.
Yeah.
What do you think about the cigar?
Cigar, I'm going to be about 8.5 to 9. I like the flavor. I think when I smoked one of the pre-release blends, it tasted a little bit sweeter.
Yeah.
This one still has a little bit of the sweetness, but not as much. But it's still a well-balanced cigar, especially with the retrohale having some of that spice that you may not get on the palate. Just the creaminess, the slight sweetness, the earthiness to it. It's got a great flavor being medium body, and with that price point, yeah, that's gonna be a 9 for the cigar. Then with this coming in, with us probably $8 to $10 in the shop, depending on the size.
Huh.
I think this will be a 9. As far as the pairing, I think this is one of the best pairings I've ever been a part of.
Wow.
And
how special does Brian feel tonight?
Wow.
Because of the sweetness, the vanilla, the caramel of the whiskey, and then the slight sweetness of the cigar and how they work well, I give the pairing a 10.
10
on the pairing.
All right, Billy Bob.
He said that out loud.
Oh,
He said
10.
He said that shit out
Fucking
loud.
10.
could I see that bottle here? I need to rate this thing. Is that your first 10 as a pairing that you can recall?
That might be as a pairing. I know I've given whiskeys a 10 before, not often. I think there's only been one whiskey that I've given a 10 to. But yeah, that might be my first. I think that as good as the two of them are, they're better together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. I think the whiskey, I'm giving this whiskey price point, everything involved, definitely a 9. I'm kind of right there with you guys. I think this is one of my, like I said, it's one of my favorites from Old Forester. I like the whole whiskey row. I even like the Statesman that they put out just for your everyday that you find on the shelf. Even the Old Forester, just the original Old Forester, it's a great bang for your buck bottle. They put out fantastic products. This one, though, I would say is my favorite. Wow. So I would definitely say, and Brad says, well, shouldn't I have to get a 5-pack? I think he's talking about Cedar Creek, not these, but maybe he's talking about the whiskey. I don't think it comes in a 5-pack, Brad.
Good luck, though. Let us know.
Kick it back like a 6-pack. And then so with the cigar, I'm going to give it an 8 because I think, price point, this one, like, again, I might be thinking, like you said, it was a pre-production one. So I don't know if that's what I was thinking of the first time that we smoked the Kintsugi, that it wasn't quite what it is now, but that's one of those that an 8's not a bad rating. I think it's a solid cigar. I love the marketing behind it. I think it's very cool.
Me as well.
I think I like, with Alec and Bradley doing these projects, the Blind Faith was something that was named after Alan, the father, the owner of the company, kind of letting them go and get started and do this project. So that's why it's called the Blind Faith. Gatekeeper had its own meaning, and now you have the Kintsugi. They definitely are into these types of images that they're putting out for their different products. And they are setting themselves apart from Alec Bradley cigars, and this is Alec and Bradley under the same umbrella.
Of the 3 Alec and Bradley blends that I've smoked, this one's my favorite.
Yeah. I would say, I'm with you on that. And it's very different, though. It's very different than the other.
They're all 3 blends are very different. But this one just,
But I am with you guys with the pairing. So when I'm rating the pairing, I would say it's back at a 9. I think that they both bring out a lot from each other. I think it's a fantastic pairing. I think that if you're doing something where you're trying to teach someone how a bottle and a cigar can bring something out of each other, this is definitely one to do it with, because it's one of those pairings that it's very complementary. It's very complementary. So that's why I like that one. You done with the cigar?
Hell no.
All right. Well,
hell no. My bad.
get it out of the ash. I'm just looking at you.
just rested on the
That's fine. It's all part of the training.
There you go. I
It's all part of the
appreciate
training.
it.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
absolutely.
Get that shit
Absolutely.
out. Get that shit out of the
Oh,
ass.
just roll it around the ashes. That's not going to add any good flavor to it.
Yeah, as soon as you put that up to your lips, you're like, why do I taste it? Oh, now I know.
Again, I do want to thank Jonathan Lipson from Alec Bradley Cigars for sending us the Kintsugi. Love it. Love that. The support. And thank you from the company for doing that. You guys have been a big supporter of the podcast. Ryan Ponist, our rep here in the Columbus area, in the Midwest area. And then also Alan Rubin himself. And we've had Alec on the podcast. I've had Bradley in the garage, my last garage, hammered off a bottle of Blanton's after the Smoking 10 event. So good family effort there on supporting our sponsor, Tinder Box at Easton, and also the podcast. And then also Altadis USA, thank you for sponsoring us. It's been a great support. You guys are going to be supporting us with the second cigar of the night, the Monte Cristo White Series. So greatly appreciate all that, Josh Bentley.
Cigar?
We do. We have another one. And speaking of which, our Altadis supporter, Josh Bentley, is going to be on next week.
Woohoo!
So we'll be smoking a newer product from them. It is going to be the Trinidad Espiritu Series number 2.
I just smoked that.
Yes. So I'm looking forward to that. And also BS Cigar Company, thank you very much. Got the golds and silvers also available by way of the Tinder Box at Easton. So if you guys are interested in ordering those, we do ship those out weekly. So if you want to order straight from the Tinder Box at Easton, we can get those to you. No problem. We're not like Amazon. You're not going to necessarily get it in 2 days. But Ryan Jones, who's a big supporter from Illinois, he actually got his first 10-pack of BS cigars, as well as some of the merchandise we just did with the When the World Hands You Some BS, Light It Up. That's a 2020 shirt.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Love it. Love it.
It's now 2021 shirt also. We're not through it yet.
No.
It's amazing what you come up with when you're drinking as far as marketing. You know what I mean?
It's the Roaring
Absolutely.
20s shirt.
I sent that to my graphic design, Larry Schumann. And I was like, I don't know, it was like midsummer. I said, what do you think about this idea for a shirt? When the world hands you some BS, it's time to light one up. And I was like, because everything's just going to shit right now. And he's like, I don't know if people are going to take that right. Everyone loves it.
That's not only cigar friendly. I just want to say that out loud.
That's
So,
right.
I
That's
mean,
right. That's
you know what I
the
mean?
point of it.
Light it up for
That's
damn
right.
sure.
And then also patreon.com/Bourbon and BS podcast. That's going to be a way that you guys can contribute if you want to contribute to the show. I do have to switch printers on the t-shirts, but we're going to get some more t-shirts made up. I don't know if I'm going to get the Patty's Days one done in time. So we will still look at maybe doing the black with gray, or I've got the blue prototype on, which says, thank you. Pour one more, light up another. We'll figure this out together. Again, thank you, Whiskey, for creative influences.
Not mad at you one bit. By the
That's
way,
right.
this old Forester keeps getting better and better.
Doesn't it, though?
It genuinely keeps
Yeah.
getting better and better.
Absolutely.
And I'm a lot less nervous than I was when we started.
See, I told you.
Explain that shit. You know what I mean?
Just softening you up. For
That
part
means
two.
it's working. So, guys, cheers. Stay tuned if you're listening live for part 2. The topic is also Kintsugi. We're going to get into what the definition is a little bit further as far as the metaphor, where it comes from. And then I want to hear from Brian Penn, our special guest for being here. He's got a hell of a story that definitely falls in line with the whole metaphor of the Kintsugi. So
Absolutely.
stay tuned, guys. Thank you. If you're listening to the audio, click over to part 2. The rest of you guys have a great week. Happy Whiskey Wednesday.
Yes.
And now we're on intermission. So if you need to use the facilities, please
Not
keep
the hallway.
light on. Yeah. Dustin hasn't been here in a couple weeks, knocking the rust off a little bit. Maybe he just wanted to end the show. I don't know. It's like getting the net. You want to lay down for a little bit?
or like a comedian, there's the red light on in the background.
You guys good for the moment?
Great.
If any of you guys listening live, if you have any questions as we get started about the Kintsugi, about what we're drinking or smoking, we can still throw those questions up there. Or if you have any questions as Brian gets into his story as well.
The nose on this is fantastic as well.
It is. It's all around. I mean, highly rated, obviously, on the show.
Yeah, now I understand why this is the hardest one to find.
Yeah, I may actually get a bottle of this after this.
See, that's how it works.
Straight up.
That's how it
Straight
works.
up.
Hey, old Forrester, send us some little bit of that
Straight up.
kickback.
Wife, you were going to the store. We're going to go ahead and get some of this. This is delish.
If you guys are listening towards as we get into part 2, please also, if anything happens with the audio or the video, let me know.
Mm.
We had the audio go a little bit sour at the last 5 minutes of a couple episodes ago. It we don't know what's happening unless you guys tell us. So we appreciate the heads up on that. You guys ready for part 2?
Let's go.
Welcome back to the Bourbon BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 157, part 2. This is where we kind of go beyond the BS. We are still smoking to Kintsugi from Alec and Bradley cigars. We're also drinking still a bit of the Old Forester 1910. If you guys haven't listened to part 1, you just clicked part 2 on the audio. Go back and listen to part 1 for us and kind of hear what we have to say. I will say, spoiler alert, highly rated at the end of the show. I got Brian Penn here with us. Got Nate Hale as well, Dustin Bovey, and we have some audience members as well. I'm Steve Crane. I do want to thank you guys for tuning in. Like, share, support it. Thank you to our sponsors, Tinder Box at Easton here in Columbus, Ohio. They're a big supporter of the show. I also want to thank Alec and Bradley Cigars and Alec Bradley Cigars for the Kintsugi. They sent it to the podcast for us to review, which I really, really appreciate. Very, very generous of you guys to do that. And also Altadis USA. We're going to be smoking the Monte Cristo White Series in part 2 here. It might be Brian's second cigar of his life, so
can't wait.
You got to get through the first one, though. You don't have to.
Okay, good.
All right.
I'm probably not going to make it.
But thank you to Josh Bentley and everyone. Josh Bentley's going to be on next week here in the garage. That's going to be, I think, the 3rd of March. We're going to be smoking a new one from Altadis next week, so we're happy to have him back as always, and the support from you guys is tremendous. Also, BS Cigar Company for the gold and silver. I love the gold and silver. Brad Sibley actually asked me earlier in the feed on live. He said, I smoke a lot of cigars. He's asking me. He asked me, I smoke a lot of cigars, so what do you circle back to? I mean, for obvious reasons, I think, because I did have a hand in the blending. The BS Gold is still one of my dailies. Absolutely, 100%. So, and then also patreon.com/bourbonbs podcast. This is the way you guys can support. There's a $5 tier, a $10 tier, $25 tier, or whatever you feel comfortable and you want to contribute. We are working on getting more merchandise out there. I know we say that a lot, but this is something that we're trying to work on. I know a lot of people are supporting it and rocking what we got out to them. So we appreciate that very, very much. Kintsugi. Pulled this up here. So this is a method of pottery repair using a golden joinery.
Yep.
And I'll give you a little bit of history here. According to art historians, Kintsugi came about accidentally. When the 15th century shogun broke his favorite tea bowl, he sent it to China for repairs and was disappointed that it came back stapled together. The metal pins were unsightly, so local craftsmen came up with a solution. They filled the crack with golden lacquer, making the bowl more unique and valuable. This repair elevated the fallen bowl back to its place as shogun's favorite and prompted a whole new art form. So this is an art form born, and I'm not even able to say this, but it's a Mottainai?
Spell it.
Nope.
What?
Mottainai.
Nope.
Yep. The feeling of regret when something is wasted. And mushin, the need to accept change. The cracks are seamed with lacquer resin and powdered gold, silver, or platinum, and often reference natural forms like waterfalls, rivers, and landscapes. This method transforms the artifact into something new, making it more rare, beautiful, and storied than the original. So this is the actual art form of doing this repair.
Wow.
So this is something
Complete
that...
accident, huh?
Complete accident.
Word.
So this is something that, talking with Brian before the podcast, he kind of gave me a rundown of a bit of his history. And this is where it made sense. I had this Kintsugi sitting in my humidor waiting to go on the podcast. You and I were messaging back and forth. You told me a bit, kind of the highlights, lowlights of the past probably 10, 15 years.
20, definitely
20 years.
For sure.
And it's just about the fact that, so this is something that, and again, going off of what I looked into Kintsugi, this is where it really kind of got me putting this all together. And Ian out there already says it's about embracing your scars. It's absolutely right.
Well said.
This is something
Ian's
that
got some that tell some stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well said.
But it's basically we all break. We all have these things happen to us.
Absolutely.
Or we cause. We have our failures.
No doubt.
And this is something that I think a lot of the times when you're talking to other people, you hear their story, you're able to have this kind of empathy and also understanding in their failures. They could have done something could have happened to them. And you listen to what they're going through and how they got through it or what they're thinking and where they're at. The other side of it is when it's happening to you,
Ooh.
you tend to want to I want to hide the scars. I want to hide the breaks. I don't want people to see. I'm not glorifying my mistakes, my failures, me falling off the shelf and falling down, getting broken.
Yeah.
You always, a lot of times people, when it's themselves, they try to portray
that there are no scars.
There's nothing wrong.
There are no scars.
Yeah.
For sure.
You're getting back into it. You go into a job interview and they're like, why are you looking for a job? You don't necessarily always come out and be like, I got fired. I got fired for sleeping on the job. You try to church it up. You try to change it a little bit. And you're like, well, we had a misunderstanding. About what? Sleeping on the job.
They frown down
I have
upon sleeping on
a
the
strong
job.
urge to eat. That's why I'm
right,
that's why I'm
right.
applying for this job.
Right.
So Brian, tell us a little bit about your journey, if you would, how you got to the point you are now with Clean Kicks. You're also an artist.
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So walk me through, go back 10, 15 years.
Interestingly enough, I've been fired from every job I've ever had in my entire life. So
that's why you have your own
I
business.
was like, I think I'm good at working with people, but I'm horrible at working for people.
There you
That's
go.
one of the
Okay,
things. That's one of the things that I figured out for sure.
Yeah.
So, born and raised in Indianapolis, all of that fun stuff. Like I told you, the last 20 years has been a shamble of doing right, doing my best to treat the universe right. A lot of mix-ups and all of that stuff. Got married when I was 23, I believe. Had 2 daughters at the time, which is the best thing now because I'm 40 and my kids are 20 and 18, which is absolutely phenomenal.
Like
I do not recommend it. You know what I mean? I don't recommend. You're gonna be broke until you're 41.
There you go.
But yeah, man, I just wasn't treating the universe right when I was young.
Explain that. What do you mean?
My 20s, and it was just a lot of punishing my own self. You know what I mean? It was a lot of doing my wife at the time dirty. I was so focused on being a rapper and chasing, to be honest, hip hop musical career that I wasn't really focused on the things that now you look back on and we're like, damn, I probably should have been in the crib like watching Pixar with the girls as opposed to out here chasing these girls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just being honest. You're young and dumb and you don't know. So was married at 23, treated my wife at the time really, really bad. Wasn't a great husband. Actually didn't really have anyone telling me that I was doing wrong. I was out there kind of chasing the Joneses, trying to keep up with all what my friends were doing. You know what I mean?
Did you realize, like, you think at the time, were you thinking that I could be doing things differently?
Of course.
A little bit of remorse as it was happening?
Of course, I
But
mean,
it didn't change it.
No. And I think that's probably the detriment that the guilt and all of that stuff comes in the most. It's one thing when you're doing wrong, you don't really know you're doing wrong. That's just ignorance. It's when you're doing wrong and you know you're doing wrong and you should be fixing it, but like you're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll get into that later. But like I said, was treating my wife wrong and keeping up with the Joneses. Was doing tour management with my best friend Zach. Shout out to Zach. We were working for like ESPN and College Game Day.
Wow. Yeah.
Amidst all of that, after we wrapped up a P30 step van and threw TVs in the windows and a stage on top and traveled all over the country rapping and all of that stuff, just chasing a dream and all of those things. Ended up tour managing for 5 or 6 years, whatever, and moved back home, got a job, ruptured my Achilles. And
you were collegiate athlete as well, right?
Yeah, ran track in college, 400, 800 runner and all of those things. Found myself homeless in 2013 because all the stuff was just not going right.
I feel like you skipped something there.
I did. That's why I'm going back. That's why I'm going back. That's why
I feel like there are some things that.
That's why I'm going back. I'm
Okay.
going back after the tour management. I got home and again wasn't treating the universe right, doing all the things you shouldn't be doing, sleeping with married women and just sinning. And I don't know where you guys are with your faith, but I'm a man of faith, so I feel like God slapped me in the face and was like, you're going to learn some lessons.
Little reset button.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So then I found myself homeless, living in a garage, and I could almost cry just talking about it because I'll never forget the night I was like looking up in the ceiling, sleeping in this garage by myself, freezing cold, and I was like, you're way too intelligent, you're way too talented, not to be funny, but you're way too charismatic. Like, why the hell are you homeless? Why the hell are you alone? And why the hell are you in a garage right now?
Whose garage was it?
It was I was like renting it. It was like a storage unit up in the Polaris area. And it was a broken down Mitsubishi Montero I was living in. So I would get out, go to the bus, take the bus all the way into town, try to get jobs, try to look for apartments. I mean, it was horrible, bro.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Jeez.
And it was all self-inflicted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was all self-inflicted. So
I feel like most Mitsubishi Monteros were broken down.
they're not. They look good. They look, there's
Sorry,
I'm not mad at you, player.
You were specific about that. I had to be like, well, I feel
Mitsubishi
like
Montero, but there's a reason they don't
gorgeous
make Mitsubishi Montero anymore. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason.
Sorry, I had to.
Not mad. So decided to start making changes. And one of my good friends told me that she would let me live in her house and sleep in her spare bedroom as long as I went to church with her one time.
Where's the family?
My family
at that time
living in Madison, Wisconsin. Yeah, like not really talking to me much. Young daughters really weren't messing with me. I'd go up there and they really weren't feeling it. You know what I mean? So I had to like work on reestablishing that relationship with them because when they moved, they were, 6 and 8, I think. Like, why the hell are we leaving daddy? You know what I mean? And I never lied to them. That's one thing that
that's huge. It's huge.
That's one thing I made sure I never did. I was always very honest with them and let them know this is on me. So like I said, she told me if you go to church with me, then you can live in my spare bedroom. And that was one church where I've been going for 6-7 years. Started going to church, started changing my ways. And the thing that changed it forever for me was, interestingly, I went to the Vineyard Church with my best friend, Lindsay.
Okay. Another big church.
Yeah, man. Went to the Vineyard with Lindsay, and we were sitting in there one day, and on one screen came the word integrity. Mm-hmm. And on the other screen, it said, what do you do when people aren't watching?
What are you doing when people aren't watching?
What are you doing when people aren't watching? Because it's easy to do the right thing when people are watching you, but it's, some people find it difficult to do the right thing when they're not. And that was my thing. I was putting on a show. Hey, look at me. I'm all glitz and glamour. I'm the nice guy. I'm the cool dude. I'm B, blah, 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 blah. People loved the persona, but, you're walking around with the stage name, Be Honest, and you're lying to everybody. Like, that's kind of shitty.
Why? What was the divide there? Obviously you learned a lot, right?
In my skin.
Okay.
I genuinely believe there was a lack of comfort. Like until 5 years ago, Steve, I wouldn't even let anybody call me by my first name, Brian. It was B. Don't call me Brian. I hate that name. Like, don't call me that.
Why'd you hate the name?
My father gave it to me, and we never had a relationship. We were never ever cool. So I didn't want anything to do with the name. I felt like calling me Brian Franklin. He gave me that name. Like I hated everything affiliated with it. So
understood.
I'm B. Don't call me that. So it's just growing, what's it called? What's the
Kintsugi?
It's Kintsugi. You know what I mean? Taking broken pieces. So
now you don't mind seeing the name up on the screen, do you?
I love it.
Yeah, see?
I love it.
It's that gold lacquer.
I do. I genuinely love it. So started going to church and changing, got baptized in 2015, and have been doing my best. Unfortunately, like I said, I ruptured my Achilles in 2015. So I was forced to sit in a house in a room by myself with my foot propped up and visualize what being better looks like, visualize what doing better looks like, stop being selfish. And just when you're by yourself and those walls are closing in, you have no choice but to like sink or swim.
It's a lot of time for reflection.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Which can be a good or bad thing.
It's a beautiful thing when you get through it.
Like, being in jail or prison.
I was just thinking that in my head when I said that.
That's it was one of those types of situations in my mind, as far as the overall mentality where you can't get out.
Because you can be
that was
free.
The garage for you. That was this moment you're talking about.
Absolutely. You can be free, but still be in prison. You know what I mean? More so. Like, you don't have to be locked up in a 6x9 or a 6x6 to be in prison. You can be in here and be locked the fuck up.
That's where we've been. A lot of people have been this last year.
Absolutely.
It changed people, better and worse.
Yeah, it was a 2020 was a rough one.
Yeah,
for sure. But started treating the universe right, and by the grace of God, I've had a lot of people I had to go back and apologize to and right those wrongs, and humility and understanding, and thankfully they all gave me empathy. Interestingly enough, most of the people I hurt all said, like, we always knew that this Brian was in there. We always knew that there was a greater version of you. That's why we always hung around, because we always knew. And it's like, why the fuck y'all tell me? Because I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Did it line up with a little bit of the persona that you were putting out there?
what do you mean?
Like when you said that, you were, be honest, you didn't want, like, but then when you were by yourself, you weren't that person you were portraying. Was the one that you were portraying, was this a little bit more the pure you, or was that the show you and this, like, trying to like show off, or was it just trying to show off that I am like you said, I'm a good person. I'm trying to do things for everyone else.
I'm so comfortable in my skin. Look at me. But I was not comfortable in my skin.
But now you are.
Very, very much so.
That's what I'm saying. There was a kernel there. There's a little bit of that.
There's a kernel me? What's that
like
mean?
Kernel, like
Popcorn
like popcorn,
kernel?
yeah, like kernel of truth. You know what I mean? Like you had like the base was there, but you just didn't feel comfortable with that.
The base was always there.
When no one else was around, like you said, you were in that service, and you saw that, and like when people aren't around,
I chose to do wrong.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But it changed.
It definitely changed, and it's been a process of change. It's not like, you have those magic moments and healing and growth and all that shit's not linear. You know what I mean? Like, take a couple steps forward and it is like, but I still like doing wrong a little bit, like it's just, I still like doing wrong a little bit. I just want to do less wrong and less wrong and less wrong
or different
wrong.
You give yourself a little rope there.
I definitely do, because I'm human. You know what I mean? Like, as a Christian, in my personal opinion, the goal is to be as Christ-like as possible, but like, I'm still a human in flesh. I'm still
okay.
A sin is a sin, for whatever. I don't mean to go too deep, but like,
you're fine.
Like, it is what it is.
Talk to me a little bit about like the people around you at that time. You mentioned the friend you were living with.
Yep. Shouts to Renee.
So there are, not to take away from the religious side or anything like that, but I know growing up in the church, and I am no longer really involved in the church, and my faith has been wavered a long time ago.
Totally understand.
But one of the things that I will really appreciate about that, and again, we're not making any judgments on either side of that, but it is the people, the community, the congregation, if you will. I talk about that again, not trying to belittle anything. You guys may not follow me here, but it's kind of like the cigar shop, right? So it's not about how fancy the chairs are, the pews are in the church. It's not how fancy now it's all about, some of these more contemporary ones. It's like, how big is the stage? How many musicians? It's about the people.
100%.
Because I did that. I've gone to different cigar shops at a younger age. I went to different churches, and it didn't feel the same as the community that was supporting me.
The vibe.
So the one thing that I took from my years in that feeling, or that world, it was the people you looked up to, the elders, or the people that you rely on, you learn from, and then you have your peers. You do the same thing with that. Is that, can you kind of talk on that, on who pushed you through?
Well, first I want to say, before I go there, that like, when it comes to faith for me, like, church and faith for me, Steve, is like my moral personal trainer.
Sure.
Some people need to go to a gym and have that. Like, I know who I am. I know that without my church and without my community, what I'm capable of. So that's what faith in my church is to me. With that said, the other part of that is the community. And what I've learned, especially in the last year of not being able to go to church, is that I definitely go to church for the community and for that.
Yeah. Otherwise, you'd be sitting there with the Bible.
No doubt. Before that, though, and I will say, or along with that, coinciding with that, my team of people, and I have about, I would say, 7 to 10 people, and we'll go into that a little bit later. Please remind me. But my team of people has always been very, very supportive, very go-getter, very loving, very supportive. Like
a board of trustees.
I have a
board of directors.
You messed it up.
Damn it!
I have a team, a team that a group of people that I will go to with, 90% of the decisions that I make, whether it's a company, whether it's do I do this or do I don't do this. It's from my daughters to Shannon to my girlfriend Brittany to my friend Lindsay, my friend Joe. Like, I have my best friend Zach. There are a group of people that I know will always give me the real, but will keep me in line.
Yeah.
While allowing me to pursue whatever vision that I have. So Shannon, shouts to Shannon Marie, like my team, Amanda Majors, people at church, like my community is very, very dope for sure. keeps me alive.
Yeah, the support
Absolutely.
does.
Absolutely.
All right, so you talked about personal training also.
Yeah,
So you got the athlete background.
I do.
So when did that start?
What's that? Personal training or the athlete background?
No, the personal training. We talked. Like you were your track star, obviously at one point.
I was.
You know, and then you're a collegiate athlete because
Yep.
you become a collegiate athlete because you're a track star. I mean,
Exactly.
that's how it works,
That's how it
right?
works.
They don't just like sign you like, what course do you want to take? I want to be
I want to be a track
I
star.
want to be on the track.
I want to be a track star.
You know, I mean, let me do that.
So personal training came after I moved back to Columbus, 2004-ish. I was working at Lifetime Fitness, working at the front desk. And it just started with like friends of mine. Hey, bro, you're in really good shape. Like, you want to train me? I'd never done it before. You know what I mean? It was like, yeah, let's get that done. So, you know,
Awesome.
you take the ACE test, you keep it moving. So it was always a thing, but I stopped doing it. Obviously, as I started tour management and all of those things kind of
So
fell
it's
by the
going back.
wayside.
It's
Oh,
going
for
back.
sure, for sure.
Okay.
I started in probably 2005, 2006. I've been training since.
Okay.
And then when I went to Avenue X, I went there to started doing their social media. And Deb, the personal trainer, was like, "Don't you?" Or the owner was like, "Don't you personal train too?" And I was like, "Yeah, like you want to get on some sessions?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" So I've been training there for 3 years. Just
Fantastic.
just killing it, man. We're having a great time.
Spencer, you really trained Spencer? Spencer was on 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So shouts to Spencer, man.
Is that 2
'cause
weeks ago? Yeah.
It was 2 weeks
Yeah,
ago.
yeah, yeah.
It was the 10th, I believe. So he hit me up after I came to the podcast. He hit me up, dropped off a bunch of shoes. I cleaned probably 15 pair of 10, 15 pair of shoes for
He
Spencer.
would have a lot of
He
pairs of
did.
shoes.
He
Yeah,
did.
he's-
And then he was like, "Hey, bro, you want to write some workouts for me?" Because he has a place at his house.
He does.
So I didn't. We didn't train like in person, but I
love
wrote
this.
workouts for him for like 3 months, just switching it up and flipping his style. And he had a great time with it. He kicked ass. He did every workout. We communicated back and forth every day.
amazing.
It was dope, man. It was dope. We did it for 3 months.
It's all part of what we do here at the
Absolutely,
community.
Absolutely.
You show up in a cul-de-sac in some random guy's garage. All of a sudden, you have a client for 2 businesses.
Build friendships, build
Why not?
relationships, man.
Why not?
That's what it's about. That's what it's about. Treat the universe right, and that shit will respond.
I'll take my commission anytime.
Was that 3%?
I don't know. No, it's being on the podcast, sharing your story.
I'll clean some kicks for you for sure.
You don't want to touch mine. A bunch of Chuck Taylors.
Yeah, it's just Chuck Taylor's. That's all it is.
Pretty much all I have.
Put those in the washer. You don't need
Chuck Taylors, and I got Chuck Taylors. I got Alan Edmonds and Cole Hans. I got nothing in between.
Put those in the washer.
A couple
You're fine.
Nikes, maybe here or there. I don't
You're
know.
good, you're
I have
good.
no fashion sense.
So yeah, man. I don't even know where we left off with my story, but
Where are you now?
living and thankfully by the graces of your upper power, living in an amazing apartment in Grandview, happy, healthy,
Yeah.
personal training, cleaning kicks all the time, doing websites for friends and family, like just doing my absolute best to just keep kicking ass, taking names, and treating the universe good, man.
Are you still making music?
Absolutely. That's damn. I like almost forget about.
I got you. I got this. Yeah.
Fuzz, I got a lot of
This is
stuff
episode
going on.
157. I got you.
You've been doing this a minute. You've been doing this a while.
I won't let you forget. Don't worry.
Yeah, man. In a band, label me Lecter. My bro, Mike Rich. Shouts to you, baby bro. I love you so much. Working on a solo project as well. Working on new music with label me Lecter all the time. Like music is one of those things. So I was born cross-eyed, and the doctor said I'd be blind by the time I was 7 years old. So I had 3 surgeries on my eyes before I was 2.
Wow.
And the doctors told my mommy to like send me to a blind school and teach me Braille because I wouldn't see after 6, 7 years old or whatever.
Yeah.
So she started teaching me everything with sound. So like 1 was 1 knock,
Love it.
2 was 2 knocks. So when I say like music is, I didn't choose music, music chose me. That's very, very genuine because I've been around music and doing music since forever.
Yeah.
That's all I know. So I'll always be a musician. I'll always rap. I'll always make beats because that's peace and serenity for me. You know, amongst all the chaos, that's the place I can go play my piano for 3 hours and get lost.
That's awesome.
That's what I do for sure.
Go ahead.
I was going to touch on something that
Go ahead. Yeah.
Pat Styles had asked. I might change it up a little bit. Do you ever have a fear because of your history? You ever have this fear of slipping back into your old ways, doing the things you used to?
I won't say what's his name, Pat.
Pat.
Pat Styles, yeah.
Pat, I won't say that it's a fear, my man. I think that
He's asking, his specific question, do you think you ever could?
No, not anymore. It's something that I'm cognizant of. You know, it's like an addict. You know what I mean? It's something that you have to be cognizant of and responsible of. I think knowing what I'm capable of is what prevents me from doing that. You know what I mean? So like because I know that if I was to go back to my old ways, it would be so difficult to, number one, dig myself out of it again. But number two, the people that it would disappoint. And I think that prevents
would
me
probably
from
hurt more.
That it would like, we went through all of this to get you better. And now you're out here acting like an asshole again. Like, come on, bro. You know what I mean? It wouldn't even be worth it to me anymore. And I think that's part of the growth and the development of just the choosing to be better.
Well, I think it goes back to the subject.
Good question, though.
Right? The Kintsugi part of it.
Exactly.
I mean, when you look in the mirror, are you trying to hide things from yourself like you were before, hiding it from other people, or do you embrace that at this point?
Absolutely.
I mean, I think that, you coming on the show like this and you sharing a story, and from what I gather with you're talking about with you, with the church and everything else, your experiences there, you don't necessarily hide things anymore.
I don't.
There's no point.
Not at all. I'm so comfortable and so almost like excited to embrace my ugly and share my ugly, because I know that there are people out there that can learn from my ugly. And I have absolutely no problem telling you, this is me, this is what I do, this is who I am. And I'm very comfortable doing that. Very comfortable.
I love it.
Yeah, for sure.
Let me throw this to both of you guys and anyone in the garage as well, and anyone listening out there. And Ian says that, my friend, is called wisdom. For some of us, it takes time to get there. Now, that kind of frames the question here is,
thank you, bro.
Why is this such a hard thing in today's world that you would rather, again, going off the metaphor, you'd rather not show off these, and not show off, but try to the bowl breaks, right? That teacup or whatever breaks, right? You'd rather these days go out and buy a new teacup
every time,
because the sentimental value isn't there anymore. It's never going to be the same,
right?
But I think that's part of it, right? So when you have these things happen to you, like you've had, and we've all had, I mean, you lose jobs, you lose relationships.
Yep. Sometimes
it's your side, or sometimes it's the other side. Sometimes it's mutual. But going into these new ventures, whatever it may be, friendships, romantic relationships, jobs, ventures for your own career, that you're starting your own businesses.
Yep.
Why do we always try to hide the mistakes as opposed to embracing it and putting that gold lacquer in there and be like, no, this is where I'm at now because of this?
It might not to cut. I don't know if you wanted to go first, but
you get a pour here while you talk. That's why I ask the questions, and I just sit over here and sip on whiskey. It's so much easier that way. You guys should run a podcast.
That's like I wait for Steve.
157 episodes later, playing
a lot of whiskey.
I've been waiting for Steve to ask you questions. That way I can tap you and be like, "Hey, hand me the bottle."
No, you're good. You're good.
One of the things that I don't want to say came up with, or one of the things that I learned through my experiences, and this is after I went through it and learned it later, but before you have the breakthrough, you got to go through the breakdown.
Yeah, I love that.
You got to have
say that again.
You got to have the breakdown before you go through the breakthrough. That's kind of how you get to the breakthrough. So a lot of people, unfortunately, through my perspective, a lot of people aren't either willing to go through the breakthrough or breakdown, or aren't willing to accept and express and share the fact that they're going through the breakdown. And one of the most beautiful things you can do is accept the fact that you're having the breakdown, but not only that, be willing to call the homie Shannon and say, this is what's going on with me. I need help, because their perspective lenses will allow you to get through the breakdown quicker. And once you get to the breakthrough, you will understand why you even went through the breakdown.
Yeah. Pat Styles, who asked you that question, says vulnerability is hard.
For a lot of people, you're absolutely right. And
then I think Ian, who also is a loyal listener here, pays Patreon as well, because when you're younger or not there. It's more about others' perceptions of you and not how you feel about looking at yourself in the mirror.
You're preaching.
I think we're poisoning that even further. I think this year has, I think, brought some people back. I think it's made people be okay with being vulnerable.
Yep.
Because it was out of their control.
Yep.
Everyone kind of said, oh, everyone's kind of in the same boat here. We're all not okay.
We're all on an equal playing field.
Yeah, we're not. We don't have control over this. But before that, and then as we go forward, I think there's going to be a little bit of that where you might slip into that. I mean, that when you introduce the social media phase, you don't see it as much anymore. You don't see the I'm okay and I'm doing this. I'm killing it right now. You don't see that as much. I think you see more community, you see more empathy, you see more people trying to support other people. And I saw a lot of people and businesses even on social media, commercials,
Absolutely.
really saying, reach out. We're all in this together.
For the first time in a long, long time.
Long time.
A long, long time.
Little silver lining there. Nate, how about you?
I think to branch off of what Ian had just said, kind of went into where I was going. I think we care more about the opinions of others have about us than we care about our opinions of ourselves. And a
lot of people do, yeah.
Because of
fair.
that, I think we are afraid to display our imperfections because we think imperfections equal weakness.
Oh.
And that vulnerability that Pat was talking about.
Yeah, we think that because we've done something wrong, that maybe we can't do something good, or we can't have something good. We don't deserve something good because of the mistakes we've made in our life. The that bowl that's been broken. That bowl sits there and goes, well, I'm broken. I can't hold anything anymore.
I don't even deserve Kintsugi.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
We don't.
Like, you
We
know
don't
what
feel
I'm
like
Get
we
that
deserve.
gold lacquer.
We don't feel like we
that.
Leave me on
deserve
the
to be
ground. Leave me
pushed
on the
back.
ground broken.
Leave
Like
me
we
broken.
deserve to be put back together.
Absolutely.
But if we're able to overcome those imperfections and those breaks that we have, then that can actually make us not only stronger, but not even that far. It makes us useful again.
Preach.
Maybe more useful.
100%. There's a vulnerability. There's a beauty in the vulnerability. Absolute number one, for sure.
Mhm.
There's a beauty in that once you decide to be vulnerable. And one of those things that I learned, and I don't mean to say like cool guy, but I figured out that once you stop giving a shit about how cool you are, that's when you become cool. You know what I mean? Like once you stop caring so much about what people are thinking of you, and you just decide to live your life for the betterment of everyone and stop worrying about yourself, is when you really start to get it as well.
What shifts? What's the shift there?
Humility, I would say.
Okay.
And like I said, I just decided to start focusing on what my actions do for other people as opposed to what my actions do for myself. And that changed everything for me.
That's huge.
Right?
That is huge.
For sure.
I think for me, like when you say vulnerability is not saying I can't do it by myself. It's realizing I don't have to.
Ooh. Hell to the yeah. Hell to the yeah.
Are you gonna drop the mic, or
You
just
should
gonna...
definitely
I'm
at least
not-
pat
no.
yourself on the back or something. Yeah, that was fire. That was fire.
We're gonna need another Patreon customer here. Nate just dropped the mic and broke it.
That was good. That was good.
Do you think this is something that people can get behind? I love the fact that we would not be having this conversation, by the way, if something is trivial to a lot of people that a cigar manufacturer put out Kintsugi,
Beautiful.
right?
Yeah, man.
And then there's a couple of random dudes in a garage in Columbus, Ohio that do a podcast, and
Killing it.
wow.
157 episodes in. Shout out to Bourbon and BS, baby.
Thank you. But it's one of those things. I mean, this is a concept that I feel like that a lot of people, they could benefit from this lesson.
%.
And it's something that's been around for 400 plus years, right? So I mean, it's been around for a long time. I don't know if counselors and therapists are using this as an example. I think this is something that they could use. I think this is something that you embrace the beauty of things being broken, as opposed to what we're coming out of, in my opinion, of the instant gratification. Something is broken, you just throw it away and get a new one. Get on Amazon and you buy something new, right? You know, it's like, it was old anyways. It's not about sentimental value, because sometimes but I think sometimes when things break, that breaks you.
Ooh.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's something
Depending
that,
upon what it is, it breaks.
yeah, something that you cherish.
Relationships.
That's my point.
Absolutely.
So a job that you loved breaks you. A relationship you loved breaks you. I like what, Nate, you were saying about the fact you don't have to do it alone, because from the very beginning of the description of that Kintsugi that I talked about, you know, he sent it away to get fixed, and it came back and it looked like shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it just wasn't the same. And it's like, no, might as well throw it away now. But then someone else that he relied on went to them with the same problem, and they put gold in it.
Yep.
They said, I'm going to make you better than you ever have been. And it'll look different, because like Ian said, you know, with the age thing, when you're young, you know, you only know that purity side of it. You can make mistakes. You don't really care about it. You're going to live forever. That's cool, right? And that's how this life works. But as you get older, you're like, no, I like the cracks. You get older, your face, you get some wrinkles. You know what I mean? You lose your hair, maybe get some grays in your beard. I don't know. Like, not talking about myself. I'm just talking about in general.
For sure.
Clearly.
Absolutely.
But sometimes you have to embrace it.
When you say
Drink some more,
grays and
Steve.
beards,
Drink some more,
obviously
Steve.
referring to me.
You need to drink some more for right now, Steve.
I have
sure.
more grays in my beard after 2020. I saw a picture on a Facebook
No doubt.
flashback or memory or whatever
No doubt.
this time last year, and I had a lot more brown in my beard.
My daughters, 20 and 18, are keeping your boy gray as F.
That's it.
I love you, Brianna and Kaya, but you got your boy looking old up here.
But how do we get the message out there? How do you get this? How do you support other people? How do you put the gold lacquer in their cracks?
I think it starts by doing it yourself and being an example for other people to see. I think it starts by having conversations like this, by treating the universe right, and not judging people for their fucking cracks. Pardon my French, but like, we all have them. So why are we sitting there worried about this, that, and the third? Like, as opposed to judging for our cracks, let's love each other and big each other up for our cracks and see the beauty in the cracks. Yeah. Like, stop airbrushing your cellulite, girls. We see it. It's good. You know what I mean? We you know what I'm saying? We love you for you, boo-boo. You know what I mean? It's like, for real.
Yeah.
You know, and being comfortable talking about your cracks, being around people who love you and appreciate you for your cracks and don't mind talking about theirs as well. Like, all of that shit is how we get through the cracks. I have to also say that, like, besides like COVID, look at all the support after George Floyd and shit popped off. All of that shit is just empathy and support. And that is how we get through the cracks, recognizing that our differences, there's a beauty in our differences, whether it's black, white, lesbian, gay, whatever the case may be, there's beauty in our differences, and loving one another for the differences in the cracks is how we get this shit out. So it starts with ourselves.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, man.
I think another part of that is make yourself available to be there for that person. If that person's feeling broken, like, that bowl is not going to repair and fix itself.
Ooh.
Someone else is there to do that. Now, with us, because we are animate objects, we have the ability to fix ourselves, but it's so much easier and more helpful if there are other people there that are available to help pull us through that.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you want to be the same person you were in the beginning? That's the question there, right? So that's one of those things, you know, that fresh bowl, that fresh. Once you put something in the bowl, it changes it, right?
Yeah.
You know, you live through life, and we talked about it. You know, you talk about if you get knocked down, you get yourself back up, right? But I think sometimes you do have to reach out for that hand. I think that's something that you have to make sure you're reaching for the right hand, not just something that you have that first hand available. You don't just bounce back the first job that's offered to you. You know, you want to know how you want to look. You want to know how, you know, Shannon's been on the podcast before, and he switched his stories phenomenal as well.
Love you, bro.
And now he's loving being a barber.
Whew.
And it was something that you could have just gotten another job. You could have done something else, and it's something that you followed a dream, and you share your story as well.
So
And there's a lot of broken pieces there. And when people see you for who you are, and Shannon, I don't know if you want to contribute at all, but I love this whole conversation and the topic, because sometimes, like Ian says, people, enjoy scars. Reminds me of that movie Varsity Blues. Chicks dig scars. You know what I mean? Like that whole thing, right? But you put that gold on there. This art form is a way to celebrate those things in yourself. You guys keep highlighting, going back to yourself, and this is something that it starts with you. You have people help you out, maybe put a little bit of that gold in the cracks for you.
Absolutely.
Build you up, like put a little, pixie dust in there, make it shine a little bit more, that type of thing. But it's something that when you're walking around, it doesn't always have to be, present your best self, but that doesn't mean hide everything. It's truly present your best self. So that if someone asks you a question, you're honest. They ask you, why are you a barber? Why are you doing this now? Why'd you start a company called Clean Kicks?
Right.
And you don't just say, well, I just always had a dream to do this. It's like, no, I failed here. I did this. I fucked this up. I didn't do well here. I was a fucking mess.
I'm still fucking this up here.
Well,
as long as you don't fuck up the shoes.
But I'm trying to fuck it up less. I'm trying to fuck it up less.
Sometimes you want to keep a little of that gold lacquer on hand, for a bad Tuesday or something. Absolutely. You know what I mean?
So interesting story. And what I was to say that sometimes you're doing stuff and it's helping people. You don't even know that it's helping people. People are watching you and you don't even know that they're watching just by your actions. You know what I mean? Perfect example. So I decided to go back to college at 38 years old, whatever the case may be. I decided to go back and finish because when I went to college, started making babies, college dropout. So I decided.
Well, you were hot shit back then.
I thought I was, whatever. So I fuck out of here. So I dropped out of college, and at 38 years old, I decided to go back and finish my degree. So, you buckle down for 2 years and you graduate with honors. Yeah, I said
Nice.
that. Sure did. I earned that bitch. I'm talking about it.
Cheers to that.
Right? You know what I mean? Absolutely. 3.85, baby. And while I was in the process, I get a message from Shannon, and he's like, hey, bro, I don't even know that you know this, but you're inspiring the shit out of me.
Love it.
And I'm going to go back to barber school, and I'm going to knock this out. So
I love this community.
I mean, he was probably going to do it anyway, but to know that going back and deciding to get my degree.
We'll find out here in a second.
Inspired one of my best friends who I love to death to go do something that they've wanted to do for so long. And it's like, fuck it. If B's knocking this out, I'm about to go knock this shit out. Sorry, Brian is knocking this out. I'm going to go knock this out. So kudos to you, bro. You know what I mean? That's dope. That's what we're here for.
All right, Shan, go ahead.
Well, I met B. It was about 2015. You just messed up your ankle. You tore your Achilles.
Absolutely.
We met at church, and I think broken recognized broken. You know what I mean? Kind of gravitated toward each other
immediately.
Man, we just started living life together, doing things, talking to each other. To this day, we still try to meet a good once a month, have coffee, discuss life, what's good, what's bad, what we can change. Speak in each other's lives and all that good stuff. Keep ourselves motivated where we're going. And I was just lucky enough to sit by and watch your journey, man. You've grown. You're doing the damn thing. You picked yourself out of the gutter, like you said. Yeah. You reinvented yourself, and here you are, man. You're doing great things. I can honestly say I'm glad I know you.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're on my team
all day,
and we'll keep doing the damn thing
for sure till the death.
You're an inspiration, bro.
Thank you, bro.
I love it.
So right now, at church, we're going through a series called Fingerprints, and this last week was about shedding layers.
Yeah.
And how as we're sitting here, they were up. The pastor Shaylin was up on stage talking, and she was like, "The human being sheds like 98 million layers of cells as they sit there for 15 minutes. You know what I mean? So like you're just constantly shedding these layers.
It's kind of gross.
It's kind of gross.
Yeah.
Like your bed,
Make sure you dust.
your bed over a period of time has like 8
Wash
to
your
10 pounds
sheets,
of
wash your
extra,
sheets, yeah.
whatever. So as I say that to just say we're constantly growing, we're constantly developing, we're constantly being better. So hell no, I would not ever want to go back to any quote unquote be honest or be that I ever was. Like I love being Brian Franklin Penn. So what the hell would I ever go back to being B for? You know, shed those layers, man. Grow, keep getting better. You know, and it's not about perfection. You know, like there's no such thing as that. So
what's the struggle then? What's the struggle? Why is this so hard for people?
I think it depends on the person, you know. Like
I think it's hard for most people.
It is, but why it's hard for them is dependent upon each person's life experiences, each person's personal struggle. The longest conversation you have in the day is the one with yourself. What are you saying to yourself? What's going on between your ears? All of those things are so important. So it depends on the person. The reason it's hard for me is so different than the reason it's hard for you.
Not everyone breaks and fractures the same way.
Not everyone's willing to break.
That's very true.
A lot of people are on the brink of break, and that's probably a lot of people's struggle is they won't allow themselves to just break into pieces,
or they deny that they are broken.
Exactly.
Ian threw a comment up there. He said,
"I love this.
Cast iron gets seasoned for a reason.
Ooh.
A new one doesn't cook as well as an old broke-in one."
Mm-hmm. I love cooking in my cast iron skillets.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think that's something that you same thing with like pipes. For those that are pipe smokers, same thing. You want to like season a pipe, you gotta get that little bit of that cake going.
Mm-hmm.
It smokes better.
Okay, so like in hood terms, it's like leaving the pan a little bit dirty when you cook on it, so it's got those flavors and all of that
That's
stuff
right.
on it.
That's kind of like what cast iron does.
Got you.
Or like an old meerschaum pipe. That meerschaum will actually kind of filter out, some of the tar and stuff that might be in that tobacco, and so over time, what was this gorgeous kind of off-white looking pipe eventually starts to turn tan and darker shades of brown. But sometimes those used meerschaum pipes will actually be worth more than a brand new one because they've gone through that process.
It's a good thing I have a ride home tonight.
There you go.
Feeling good up here.
That's good. I like that. Ryan Moody says, I didn't know you knew Ryan Moody.
Love you, bro.
What's up, fam?
What
I see
up?
you doing a great podcast with great people. Steve's my guy. I know Ryan Moody from back in the World of Beer days.
Love you, Moody.
Hope all is
Straight
well.
up. I saw a couple people and other people I know chime in, and that's what's up. Shouts to Roberto too.
Yeah.
So where do you go from here, Brian?
That's a hell of a question.
You got the personal training thing.
Tonight I'm gonna go home and roll up a J and play piano, but that's not what you were asking.
Live stream that stuff.
Definitely,
I'll watch.
definitely what I'm doing tonight.
Where do you go from here? I mean, you're embracing the gold lacquer and the cracks, right?
Absolutely.
You're in this good spot, right? You feel like
Yeah.
you're in a good spot. That's what I'm feeling off of you. I mean, you put off a really good energy, and I love that. That's why I'm so happy to have you on the podcast.
Thank you.
But what's going forward? You got clean kicks going. You got the personal training going. You got the music stuff going. You're 41, you say.
I am.
You're back in your daughter's lives. They're back in your lives, more importantly.
We're back in each other's lives.
There you go.
It's a continuous process. The last 3 years were difficult, but to be in communication with my children again, teenagers are tough, man. You know what I mean? Especially teenagers.
I didn't like being one.
Especially teenagers from me neither. Especially being teenagers from afar when your kids are so far away and you're doing your best to like co-parent and be a dad from 8 hours away. You know what I mean? It's rough out here in these streets. But yes, Brianna and Kaya are the loves of my life. I'm so happy that they're back in my life, which is pretty much the only reason I breathe.
Love it.
Clean Kicks, man, it continues to grow.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe it. I'm so happy that we started this brand and that we're out here cleaning shoes for people. The sneakerhead community is so big, especially in the city and the state. We've got people dropping off shoes from Dayton and Cincinnati and all of that. So it's been a wild ride.
Do you do leather repair at all, or just clean?
That's a hell of a question. We could probably fix your leather for you.
No, I got this pair of black and red Jordan ones that I got when he came back from retirement.
Got you. Like
I wore them once.
I've got
I
you.
wore my white ones
Oh, God.
on my 1975 Yamaha RD350.
You wore
leaked.
a pair of Jordans on a motorcycle?
People didn't even know what they were back
That's
then.
not what I asked you. You wore a pair of Jordans on a
It
motorcycle?
leaked a little oil. They're gone. I wore them all the time. People thought they were
Did you
wrestling
hear what he
shoes
just
back in
said,
the day.
sneakerheads?
Got a pair of black and red ones.
Oh,
Back in what was that, like 95 when he came back, right?
Oh, yes.
Got one scuff on him, put him back in the box.
And I'll take them home with me tonight. See what I can do with
See
them.
if I can find them.
I'll take them home. So yeah, cleaning kicks, love it. Follow us on the gram, whatever. Quick plug.
What is your Instagram
Yeah.
for that?
At cleankicks.614.
There you go. Because
Hey.
we actually had someone asking.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
Pat Styles, who you were talking to earlier, he was asking, how do I follow?
Love it, bro. At Clean Kicks, pretty much on the shirt. Cleankicks.614. Follow us, man. We got
Okay.
you for sure. So we'll keep doing that. People are dropping off shoes all the time. I will always train at Avenue X. I have so much fun there. Dev is
Love it.
great to me. We have a lot of amazing clients. People are coming in all the time. So it's right around the corner from my house. So I'll keep training for damn sure. Making music, working on the solo project, always making Label Me Lecter music. Check out Label Me Lecter, our band, as well, if you guys want. Just most importantly, man, is just my main focus every single day is getting up, treating the universe right, being responsible, giving all the grace to God, and repeating those steps
Every day.
every single day. That's like, I wake up every single day and the first thing I say is thank you for another day, because clearly 2020 showed us that shit is not guaranteed for nobody, not even Kobe. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Like, straight up. So
Well, and not just like, in your case, not just, thanking for a day, but you're thankful that you're better than what you used to be. You have a better relationship with your kids than you used to.
absolutely.
You have a lady in your life right now,
I love you so much, Britt Dawn.
and you probably treat her a lot better than
Who I probably don't even deserve, quite truthfully, to
Nah,
be
don't
honest.
say
You
that.
know what I mean?
See, that's
Like,
and see that's another thing. Just because you've had a bad experience in a relationship, just because you maybe treated someone bad in a relationship before, doesn't mean you can't have a good relationship again.
ooh,
There you go, Nate.
I appreciate that.
Now, that doesn't give you the right to just keep doing the exact same shit to her as you did the last one or whatever.
Absolutely.
But that just because you fucked one relationship up doesn't mean you can't have another.
Yeah, man. That there's beauty in that. And I'm thankful because very few people get the opportunity to like fall in love more than once. You know what I'm saying? Or the
Facts.
chance to,
Facts.
and not only that, but fewer people get to a second chance or to do right or whatever the case may be. So I'm very focused on being the best man I could be, not in our facets, but especially in my relationship. I try my best. We've been together for 2 years. The first year was rough because I wasn't ready to do those things. You know what I
Right.
mean? I was lost still. So
How'd you get through the first year?
it was miserable. I had just come off an experience and a breakup that was really, really horrible. So I was bringing all of that shit into it, all that turmoil. So the first year was dragging Britt through the mud. Thankfully, she's patient, grace, loving, empathetic, and all of those things. It's
Yeah.
one of those another one of those people who's like, I knew the greatness was in there. She knew after our second date that she was good. She'd been single for 4 years, and she knew after our second date that she was good to go. Very much in her faith and all of that. So this second year has been like, it's been so good.
Love
So,
it.
So good. Yeah, man.
All right, going into, I think we can get to that point. Closing remarks. But this is a little bit of a conversation because I want you to, Brian, when we do closing remarks, you've been around for this.
Absolutely.
A little bit of a summary, but I think I've been trying to kind of get it out of both of you guys and anyone out there listening. And I appreciate the live feed and the comments and everything else. But what words do you have for people that maybe are in the middle of this, whether it be their job, their relationship, their just down moment? Maybe they have a good relationship, they have a good job, maybe they have things that are going well, everything looks good on paper. So this is that be honest guy that you had back in the day.
Absolutely.
But as soon as they're trying to fall asleep at night,
You gotta
waking
deal-
up in the morning,
you
they're
gotta
in,
deal with
like,
Brian Penn.
you got to deal with Brian Penn. So people that are on paper that old, be honest,
Mm.
right? But when they are alone in their thoughts, they're the old Brian Penn. What would you tell them to bring those two parties together?
You want to start? Or was that a question for me?
You go ahead and start.
I challenge you to look in the mirror. I challenge you
Always.
I challenge you to look in the mirror and take a deep gaze. I challenge you to figure out whatever it is that you don't appreciate about yourself and learn to love that.
Yeah.
I guess I would challenge you to spend some genuine time with yourself, because you learn a lot when you're alone. My mother, who is a very, very wise woman, says to me, stop spending time by yourself and start spending time with yourself.
Love that. Love that.
And
dropping some t-shirts tonight,
right? That's one of the things that's always been a game changer for me in this process, is I learned to spend time with myself, and just that one word changes so much. You heard yours, wow.
Huge.
Like, you know what I mean? Just that one simple phrase. So like, spend some time with yourself. Learn who you are, and not like who people think you are, but like, who the fuck are you in the core of your spirit and your being and your soul and your wisdom you've learned and your morals and your rationale and your team and your system, all of those things. Dig deep in your spirit and figure out who the hell you are.
All right, let me ask a follow-up question then. How did you do that? Because it sounds good, right? I mean, it's very powerful. Your mother sounds like a saint of a woman.
Yeah, Tej is bad. Tej is a badass. Shouts to Tej. She is a badass.
But what you said is so powerful. I want to know how you do it. How do you change that word?
It's every day.
By yourself to with yourself.
It's every single day, constant reminders to just choose yourself, Steve. You can't tell somebody how to do it. You genuinely just have to do it. Like, I could tell a person my experience. I could tell a person my perspective, but me telling Shannon or me telling you or me telling Nate, like, my experience, like, everybody's experience is so different. Everyone's journey is so different, but like, there's nothing wrong with literally waking up tomorrow morning, looking in the mirror, staring at yourself, and talking to yourself, spending time with yourself. On your drive, turn the radio off and chill with yourself. When you get to the crib, you want to turn that TV on, keep that TV off, sit with yourself, learn about yourself. What do you like? What do you don't like? Not what do people want you to like, but what the fuck do you like? Like,
no, you're hitting it.
You know
this is exactly what
like,
this is what I'm asking. This is important. Like, this is huge. These are the steps.
Who are you deep in the core, and the people around you? Go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
No, you talk. I'm pointing to Steve.
Who are you deep in your core? Who are you deep in your spirit? And as you manifest the person that you are, people around you will gravitate to the genuine you. One of the things that I did when I got baptized and went public with my faith, I was so scared to do that, because people who knew me were like, I was afraid they were going to be like, motherfucker, we know who you really are. We know that,
you're
like,
doing it for the show.
We know who you really are.
Yeah.
We've known you for 20 years. We know you be. We know you be honest. Cut this out. But what I saw was so many of my team was so proud of me, and it gave us a whole different conversation. It gave us a whole different perspective. It gave us a whole new dialogue. Like, now we're able to grow in a whole new way because they're watching me. Now they're feeling comfortable. Now they're doing it. Now their vision and their dreams are manifesting. So just like, it all starts with yourself and digging deep.
Austin out there says resonates so well.
Thank you,
Well,
brother.
I think what you just touched on, it's so great, is there are some people in your life that all they see is you broken.
Yep.
And they think that's all you are.
Exactly.
All you ever will be is broken, that imperfection. But then there are other people in your life, like Shannon in the audience, are like, no, this dude was broken.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
He's fixed better. Or I should say he's better now. That's who he is now. Like, he doesn't have to be who he was.
Yeah.
He is who he is now.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
You don't have to, if you don't like who you used to be, you don't have to stay that way.
Absolutely.
Because I think when you were talking about, Steve, people, looking at on paper, people look like they're like, that's very, very surface level. You could have someone who's, for example, I've been married for 10 years now, and there might be some people that sit there and they look at our relationship and, they think everything's fine, but, it's only on the surface. And, things are great, but there are things that both of us can do better.
Well, I think that's
because the paper is just the very outside surface layer that everyone else sees when we're
Absolutely.
outside the house. It's
Social
people
media
don't see what's
posts.
going on inside the house.
Yes, sir.
And there's tons of stories of people that couples, they're one way in public, they're another way in private, and
Yeah.
you wouldn't even recognize the two.
absolutely.
Preach, brother. Preach.
And so that's where it starts is you have to fix that private life before that public life changes.
You ain't never lied.
What other closing remarks do you have before I get started?
With the whole Kintsugi theme, one of the things I thought about, broken does not mean that you're invaluable.
Yeah.
Just because you have been broken doesn't mean you can't be fixed. It doesn't mean you no longer have a purpose. Regardless of what you've gone through and what you've done in your life, that doesn't take away any purpose that you have going forward, because the value is in the finished product. The value is when you have been repaired, when you can once again do what you were made to do.
Mhm.
That bowl, when the bowl was first made, it was fine as a bowl. When it was broken, that's when it lost its value. Once it was repaired, its value was restored. And when you talk about people, you are the sum of your experiences.
Absolutely.
You are the sum of every good thing that's ever happened to you, every good thing you've ever done, every bad thing that's ever happened to you, every bad thing you've ever done. That is who you are as a person. That is part of your personality.
Preach.
And there's no reason to deny any of that.
Nope.
Absolutely.
Because that brokenness that you may have had still has value in who you are today. Because
More.
sometimes the bigger story can be in the person that was once broken and is now fixed versus someone who had never been broken.
Everyone loves a success story. Everybody loves a comeback story.
They do. But not everyone's going to be the Michael Jordan, the LeBron James, the Bill Gates, not everyone's going to be this thing. Sometimes you don't have the gold to fill in the cracks, right? So you talked about the value of the bowl, and I think that's there's a level of self-appreciation that you guys really hit on tonight that I've learned from you guys, and I really appreciate the conversation. I think that you can use the metaphor of you as a person, compare it to the bowl. Love the Kintsugi thing. I love the fact that you add more value to it. I love the fact that you put this gold in there and you make yourself better than you were before, or more valuable. But what I encourage everyone out there is to remember that there's a function there. So it's about the integrity of the bowl.
Oh, wow.
So when you get broken, you feel like you're no longer useful. You talk about value, and I think that's where you really, really, you shine. That's the gold, right? So that's the gold lacquer that they put in there. You have more value. You can shine. People will look at you as that success story. But the first part of that is that integrity. And sometimes when I looked at that history of that Shogun, is that he didn't like the way it looked with the staples in there. And the first people, sometimes the first step is building back the integrity of who you are. And I think that's what I learned from Brian and I at first, is that he had to find that integrity. You were a broken person. You felt like, I'm hearing this, and I've been there. Everyone's been there, where you don't think that you're not worth anything. Not the value, but you're not even worth the fundamental source of being a person. you're not functional. You can't bring any value or even like function to other people.
Absolutely.
So you can take it up a notch and do the Kintsugi thing. You can put the gold lacquer in there. That's where you really start shining. Like I said, that's where you really start. Not only did you have to build yourself up first for the integrity of you as a person. Then you can add the gold lacquer. Then you can add the added value. Then you can add the lessons and show it off. There's levels. Yeah. The first is building yourself back up, looking yourself in the mirror. I love that. That's been talked about a lot recently on this last little part, is that you have to look at yourself in the mirror.
For sure.
You're out of shape. That's fine. You got health issues. Doctor's saying you got to stop eating this way. You know, you're getting diabetes because you're eating, you're overweight and you're not taking care of yourself, all this stuff. You work on the integrity part first,
which is choices.
And then it's a matter of adding the flair, adding on top of that. So you can put the bowl back together with staples and all that stuff. And then you actually, and I take this straight from that article I was reading, the bowl was functional, but he didn't like the way it looked. So you're now functional again, but you're not there yet. You haven't completed the journey. Now you surround yourself with your team.
Absolutely.
As Brian said.
Absolutely.
Josh, who's on next week, he talks about his board of directors. Now is when you start filling in the cracks with the gold lacquer.
Can't get the gold till you do the good.
That's it.
Can't get the gold till you do the good.
So I learned a lot. I love this episode.
This was a great discussion.
I had a great time.
It was great.
I had a great time for sure. Shouts to everybody that watched. Shouts to everybody out there that left comments. I had a kick-ass time.
Good.
For sure.
And I hope to have you back.
Can't wait.
We're gonna have to get like maybe even like you, Shannon, and Sean all on the same podcast.
Let's go.
Break out the tissues and the hugs.
Don't judge. I love you, fam.
I'll just sit off to the side
and
just spin it, like a merry-go-round. Just like I'm gonna just like shove the merry-go-round real quick, and you guys bro out. Yeah, exactly. Guys, thank you very much. Happy Whiskey with you. Thank you to our sponsors, patreon.com/BourbonBS podcast. Everyone listening, please share it, like it, and just talk to people about the podcast, because this is the fun part about it. Yeah, we learned about cigars. You learned a lot about cigars tonight.
Great night.
You learned about whiskey.
For sure.
So you're that pure source of that, right?
Absolutely.
And then we all learn from you because you bring something to the podcast, this community. Share the community page as well, because I love the way it's continuing to grow. And thank you, Tinder Box at Easton, for sponsoring the podcast. Also, Altadis USA. Look forward to having Josh on. He's a solid dude. He always has great insight as well, not only on cigars and whiskey, but also in life in general. And also BS Cigar Company. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man.
And remember the Kintsugi mentality for yourself and people around you.
I genuinely might name my solo project that.
Love it.
I'm not even kidding. Like, I'm over here like, how the hell do I write a song called Kintsugi? Like, I'm not even kidding. I'm not even
figure it out.
I'm not even
I know you'll figure it out.
I'm gonna rhyme a word with it or something. I'm not even kidding.
Guys, cheers. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. Enjoy your week. Hold your loved ones tight. Cheers, guys.